The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Raymakers here with Insurance Agency Marketing. I want to thank you for taking time to join us here this morning on our webinar for the National Guardian Life Trust Products. For those of you who are joining us for the first time this morning, Friday mornings at 10 a.m. are generally our single premium life webinars. And so this product falls under that particular plan just because of the fact that we generally see these on a single pay option, although they do allow for multi-pay. So this morning what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few different things that we can do here from an IMO standpoint, what we provide to you. And this is a recorded webinar, so I'll shoot this over to you when we're all done with it. And if you have any questions, you can certainly put those, type those in the question box. Generally speaking, I have our top producer on that product with us, but it looks like he may or may not be here this morning. I know that he had indicated that he may be in an appointment this morning. So if that be the case, if he's not able to jump on here with us, then I'll go ahead and continue on with the presentation. So even though the invitation may have mentioned John Enting on here, he is questionable. So let's go ahead, let's jump into it. A couple things here we're going to go through. First off is our way we help you build your business, and obviously the way we grow our business is through referrals. So we both appreciate that a referral is a great way to increase your business. And so what we do for referrals is when you send an agent over to us that we contract, we send you a check for $50 once they get contracted. And then every time they write a piece of business, what happens is they get 20 basis points, or I should say you get 20 basis points on their production. So it's not that you take a reduction in your commission. They don't either. This is just basically our way of saying thank you for the business. And so in this scenario, 20 basis points, if you were getting that on 3 producers that were $1 million, whether it be through single premium or annuities, that's $6,000 in cash for you. So keep that in mind. If there's maybe anybody that you can think of that might be a good fit, anybody that maybe he's an independent agent that may not necessarily be real pleased with their current upline, we'd certainly appreciate an opportunity to visit with them. Now, secondly, one of the things I really appreciate here is as you write business with us, we put money into a marketing account. We refer to it as our market reimbursement. So if you write $100,000, let's say it's in single premium life or annuities, we're going to put $200 into a reimbursement account for you. And so let's say summer's coming up quickly. Doesn't feel like it here in the Midwest, of course. We're supposed to get a lot of snow tomorrow. But with that said, let's say you have a summer picnic and you spend $500, buy a bunch of hot dogs and lemonade. And let's say, like I said, you spend $500, you send us a receipt, we'll turn around and send you a check for $250. So we cut your expenses in half for you to be marketing yourself. And the list goes on as far as things that maybe it's seminars, maybe you're buying leads. So as I was saying, the list goes on as far as different things that we reimburse you for. So keep that in mind. It's one of the benefits of getting appointed with us here. I see some of you are joining us here kind of late. We're just going through a few of the benefits that we offer here, and we're going to get right into the meat of the webinar here this morning. So what we also do is, as you're a new producer with us, once you get contracted, let's say you write $100,000 in premium, whether it be for single premium life or annuities, what we do is we give you an option to choose between one of the 3, whether it be a $750 cash bonus or a 2-year subscription to the website. Now, if you don't have one and you'd like to get one set up, all you have to do is contact Tasia or Josh in our office, and they'll go ahead and they can get that set up for you in one business day. You could also choose to pick up an iPad. This is kind of nice. A lot of carriers are going towards electronic application. And so if you opt not to take advantage of one of those, you can wait to get to the 300,000 level, at which point you can choose the Social Security program in the 3,000 piece mailing. This is a great way to get in front of more seniors, by the way. And if you wanted to know more about that or maybe buy into it, all you need to do is contact our marketing department and we can get you some information on that. If you opt not to take advantage of that, then there is the $2,000 marketing reimbursement dollars to help you with your business, or $1,500 gift card. Lastly, if you wait to the 500,000 level, you can either get the 5,000 piece mailing and seminar coaching with Matt Gill, or 4,000 piece mailing and seminar coaching with Dave Pimper. Now, either one of those gentlemen do a phenomenal job on their seminar presentations. They're both top producers of ours, so they both have a different style. And one way to find out how that style is to attend our upcoming Life and Annuity Training Academy. I'll have details on that here in just one moment. If you choose not to take advantage of either one of those, then there's the Ritz-Carlton Travel Rewards package. Okay, our back office support, we really believe that we are top shelf when it comes to this. And for those of you that are doing business with us, I'm sure you would agree. We do everything from A to Z, whether it's basic business building tools, which I'm going to go through a few of those here in a minute. We do the case design for you. So if you call us with a case, what we're going to do is we're going to illustrate it for you, get you everything you need to write that, including the forms we mentioned here at your fingertips. We have that set up on our website. If you ever want to just go out and grab those on your own, you can certainly do that. Otherwise, we'll get those to you by email, mail, or overnight, however is best for that current situation. We basically take you from submission to commission. And what happens is we case manage all your business. So when you write a piece of business with us, you send it in, we scrub it, we get it over to the carrier, we order exams if you're doing a fully underwritten life insurance plan, and then we work with the companies directly and provide you updates via phone and email every week. We also, as I mentioned, we do the case design, life annuity quotes. We really have the great expertise here and coaching with all of the experience that we have here in the marketing department. Most everyone's been in the field. We're certainly a great resource for you there. And we do have the paperless contracting, so we make it easy to get set up with us here. And that's on our website, or anyone in marketing can provide you that as well. I mentioned some of the things we can do for you here. So real quickly, if you look at the different turnkey solutions, we have ready to print pieces for you. And I'm going to kind of tie this all together. If you haven't branded yourself, we can certainly help you with that. We can help you customize brochures, although we do have some that are already in our library. We can put whatever ones that you want out there for you. We can put your logo on there. We can, as far as branding is concerned, I mean, look at everything that you put out there to your prospects and your clients today. We want to help you brand yourself by getting that out there. We'll also help you from the digital solutions, social marketing. That's a huge thing. In fact, I'm seeing more and more advisors are putting stuff out there. And it really is. Facebook has been a big thing. I know it's been in the news a lot lately, but there's a lot of advisors that are having great success with that. So if you're not taking advantage of some of those things, I would encourage you to call and ask for Tasia, and she can explain to you what we can do for you. Okay, moving on here. Our website, I haven't given you that yet. It's www.iamsinc.com. Excellent source for you for everything that you need in your business. Now, we have some pretty extended hours. You'll notice that if you call here from 7:30 to 5:30, someone is here to answer the phone. I'm here later than that if you need help with a live case. But when you try to reach us after hours or on the weekends, obviously you're going to get an answering machine. We'd have a 3-ring guarantee while the doors are open. But there are times, as I mentioned, if it's after hours or on the weekends, our website is designed to keep you busy, keep you writing business, providing you the contracts, the quotes, the product details, the forms, everything you need. So go out, check out our website. There's a lot of great things out there, www.iamsinc.com. Real quick here, I'm going to put a poll out here because this whole DOL thing, as you know, it's been kicked around. It's been kind of threatened us a little bit, and now it's kind of looked like the reins are being let off. But what we've done last year was we created the IAMS Wealth Department as our solution to what was happening on the DOL. It's a great thing though when you think about it. And I put a poll out here because I wanted to see if you are maybe interested in knowing more about what's happening with the DOL. Maybe you're interested in offering or managing your client's money. Maybe you want your client's money managed, but you are not willing to go through the testing process. Maybe you're willing to go through the testing process. All of these things IAMS Wealth can help you with. We will help you with the testing. We'll help you reimburse you for that. And as I mentioned, if you don't want to manage your client's money, but you want it done for you, we actually can do that here. And you can still receive some form of compensation for it. So I strongly recommend it. I know that our advisors that have taken this route have actually written a lot more business because of the fact in the past they couldn't offer it. Now they're bringing it in. Now they're writing business, and they're doing it through our IAMS Wealth team. Great response here. If you want them to call you and maybe answer any questions that you have, maybe talk about the opportunity that's out there for you, what we can do to help you improve the retention, because that's a big part of it too. I know from being in the business and speaking with other advisors, having more tools in your bag to help your clients is going to keep them on board with you. But obviously, if you're limited, they might find somebody who they want to take all their money to. So really, it's an opportunity for you to grow your business. And if you'd like to know more, they can certainly talk about what they can do to help improve the relationship and put more money in your pocket. Okay, appreciate the response. Pretty darn good response there. I'm going to close this. We're going to move on. And okay, so I mentioned our Life and Annuity Training Academy. I'm going to put another poll out here real quick for this. This has been so well received. We fill the seats on these. Now, I've been with the company for 9 years. And I'll tell you something, we fill these seats and get phenomenal response back on this. So if you have not attended one of these events, I notice there's a lot of new names out here this morning. If you're interested in knowing more, what you need to do, and what I mean by knowing more is we can send you an agenda, we can send you an application. All you need to do is complete it. So if you want that, just mark yes. Now, our next event is coming up in May. We are talking the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of May. Here's what's really nice. Now, not only are you getting some of the best training out there in the industry, but it's free. We pay for your airfare, we pay for your meals, we pay for your lodging. So there's no expense to you. And really, you can hardly afford not to come to this event to help you to grow your life business and to help you grow your annuity business. We have speakers that come in from across the country that will share their top selling sales ideas with you that make them standouts in their field. John has joined us. I see him on here this morning. Good morning, John.
Morning.
John is actually one of our presenters at our training academy. And so he's going to go through this in greater detail. The nice thing is he's there. He's hands-on over this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday event. What's going to happen is you're going to walk out of there with so many ideas to help you grow your business. It's almost, I don't want to say it's almost too much, but it's a lot. But the nice thing is our advisors that come to this event, they're going to walk away. They've walked away, and we've seen a production increase for them. So all I'm going to ask you to do is to mark yes if you want me to email you over the agenda and an application. We'll do that. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you can always call and ask for marketing, and we can answer any questions as it pertains to that. But realistically, what we're doing is we're looking at helping you grow your life and your annuity business. And the good thing, too, is that there's a lot of other advisors. They're all in it just like you are. There's a lot of great ideas that are shared there. So certainly worth the time and the effort to attend that. We do 3 a year. This will be our second one in May, and there'll probably only be one left scheduled for the year. So it's a great opportunity for you to pick up some ideas to grow your business. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this. I know time is very valuable here, so if you change your mind and you want to know more, all you got to do is call and ask for marketing, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get you out the application. Okay, let's go here. All right, John, your timing is perfect because I've finished my intro slides. And folks, I want to tell you a little bit about John Enting. John is truly one of our best advisors out there. He's not only in our top 10 for annuity production, but he's also in our top 10 for life production. And he brought this product to us several years ago. And I will tell you that when you look at the growth in our portfolio, this is one of the products that we continue to see some of the most rapid growth. Once you start selling this product, you just can't help but continue to offer it because of not only is it a great product, but it pays you extremely well. And so John writes with NGL. He qualifies for all of their trips. He qualifies for all of our trips. I mean, just does a tremendous job. And so who better to come and to present this product to you than from someone who's in the field and is so successful at it. So John, thank you for taking time this morning. I know you're busy writing business out there, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Mark, and that's some introduction. I appreciate that. I didn't know if I'd make this. We had some appointments here in the office this morning, but it worked out well, and I'm very happy to be on the call today. So like Mark said, today we're going to talk about a product that many of you may or may not use already. We usually find out that most advisors aren't implementing this excuse me, in their practice. So we'll go ahead and talk today about the opportunity that exists with it. The things we'll cover will be the trust that we use for the product. We'll talk about the product itself that we use to fund the trust, give you some presentation ideas, and then we'll talk about the company itself and what NGL has meant to our business and the way they conduct themselves as they do business. So we all are in the planning business. You know, anytime we're doing something with a client, we're going to talk to them about what they need to do in order to make it a reality. And that's really the opportunity with this. It's another part of implementing the plan. So when we are talking about plans, we have to consider this. We have to consider what the options are for the plan. We have to talk to them about the plan, and then we have to find where the money is to be able to complete the plan. And I'll show you how we do that here at our practice. As Mark said, I have a advisory practice here in the Columbus area. I am actively working with clients every day, so I'm not talking to you from a home office perspective. I'm talking to you from a guy that's out there in the trenches just like you are. So when we talk about that, we have to talk about with our clients funeral and final expenses, because they aren't any different. They're not just going to happen on their own. There has to be some thought put into it. There has to be a plan, and we have to find the money to be able to fund that plan. And so what happens when someone passes away? Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill. And the question is, who's going to do that, and when is it going to get done? So there's two ways to do it. Either the deceased prior to their death can get their affairs in order and have a plan put in place, or like a personal story I'm going to share with you, it can be left to the survivors afterward. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. I wasn't super close with my dad, so he didn't share a lot with me. I'm the youngest of 5 children. I've always been the entrepreneur of the family, so anytime anything goes on that has to be dealt with, my phone usually rings to get my input. Well, on January 21st of 2011, I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office because my father had passed away. And the funeral director was asking me questions like, what was your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his highest rank in the military? What's his favorite flower, his favorite hymn? I didn't know the answers to these questions. And what I realized was, even though that my dad didn't have that planning done, is that I've been doing this for about the past 14 years for our clients, and I realized what a good job we had done so that their kids weren't put into this situation, or their spouse put into this situation when they passed away. So we don't want to leave it to the survivors afterward. We're in the planning business, and that means pointing out to the client that this is inevitable. It is going to happen at some point. Let's figure out how we get it done. So NGL offers a couple choices. There's the plan and pay for the funeral. So that's where someone goes to the funeral home and pays for their funeral up front with the funeral director, pick out their casket, or we can pay for the anticipated expenses, and that's where we come in of using National Guardian Life's AssetGuard final expense plan. So how much does a funeral cost? The typical funeral is running about $14,858, but I'm going to share a real life event that just happened to me. Let's see, today's the 13th, so this would have been Tuesday the 10th. I got a call in my office. It's a daughter of a very dear client of mine that I've had for a long time. She called to tell me that mom had passed away. So she has a National Guardian Life contract. Her next question to me was, John, what's the value of the contract? It ended up, it was a little over $16,000. But in that conversation, I asked her, I said, Linda, what is the cost of mom's funeral? It was $16,200 for the funeral. So that cost is getting more and more expensive every year, just as is anything else. So what's the opportunity for you as an advisor? They did a national survey, and 72% of the people they interviewed thought it was a good idea to pre-plan, but 64% had not taken any steps to do so. And your clients aren't any different. I'm working with the same people you are in the retirement market. So this really gives you a great opportunity to talk to people, and we believe the reason this 64% hasn't not taken the steps to do it is it's a beautiful day here in Columbus, Ohio. I think it's already 72 and sunny. I doubt many spouses are waking up and turning over to their other spouse and saying, hey, let's go down and pick our caskets out today. That's not a fun way to do things. So we bring a different perspective and a different way to get it done, but the fact of the matter is we're helping them get it done. So we all know this market we're in with the baby boomer generation is huge. The numbers support what we do. By 2025, there's going to be almost twice as many seniors as there are today. Could you imagine in your business for a moment if you perfected the National Guardian Life sales concept and were able to present it to a client, that your prospect base is going to do nothing but double over these next 7 or 8 years? That's an exciting opportunity in this business. So how we start the conversation a lot of times with people is we'll ask them, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? It's a yes or no question. And then we'll point out to them that 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need some type of a nursing care situation. The reality is 93% of all Americans don't have any type of long-term care protection in place to protect their assets. And that average cost of care, 68 to 78,000 a year, depending where your area is. It could be more, and it's growing at 4% a year. There are going to be many, many people who are going to need long-term care, are not going to have the assets or the protection, and they're going to have to qualify for Medicaid. One of the beautiful things about this program is that money is protected from Medicaid spend down day one. So they put it in the funeral trust and they need nursing care. That money that we know they're going to need to take care of their funeral is always going to be protected. So how does this all fit together? Basically, what National Guardian Life does is they take a single premium life insurance policy and they use an irrevocable funeral trust to hold it. And by doing that, it gives your clients the ability to plan ahead by setting that money aside that they're going to need for final expenses one day. And then we use that trust to hold the money, so we're effectively spending down that asset, which is just another phrase for we're protecting the money from the nursing home. So when you start talking to your clients about that and pointing out the fact that the money that they have is not protected, you'll get a lot of people to move on forward and hear what you want to talk to them about with getting the plan done. So we'll talk about the trust now themselves. The irrevocable trust gives protection from creditors. So once that money is in there, it's protected. When it pays out, all the benefits are going to pay out 100% income tax free. The funds are available immediately. When my client called me on Tuesday, I called the funeral home. I got their fax number. I called National Guardian Life. I reported the claim. At that point, I'm out of it, and I'm assuming by today those funds are at the funeral home because it's a 48-hour turnaround. The trusts are free. You know, I have an elder law attorney I work with here in town, and if you want to protect assets, he'll do an irrevocable trust for you. You just need to bring a check for $7,500 to the opening party, and then we can start getting work done. These trusts are free with National Guardian Life, and everyone's going to qualify for the trust assignment. So one thing I love about this, have you ever written a deal and you're not even sure if it's going to get through after you've put all your time and energy in it? I promise you, everything you write with National Guardian Life is going to get issued. And then the death proceeds are going to be used for funeral expenses. They're going to avoid those probate costs and delays. And then this is really important, the funds are totally portable. So what I mean by that is if you go prepay at a funeral home in your local area and your kids relocate to Florida and you want to be next to them and your grandchildren and you move to Florida from Ohio, well, you know, you got your funeral paid for up here in Ohio. With this, the funds are portable. You can use it in any nursing home. You can use them at any funeral home, and you don't have to make that decision until the time of death. So this next slide will show you how the trusts compare to traditional savings instruments. And you can see there, I'll let you read it for yourself, but what we're looking for is a yes in every one of those categories. And you can compare it against a CD, savings, annuity, or traditional life insurance, and you're going to see there that we're going to get that protection that we're looking for the client. So for the funeral trust, how does it work? Basically what happens is we're finding money to help them put aside to make sure their funeral's paid for. So as an example, I'll use the client that just passed away this week. We went out, we met with her, we found the funds to do the funeral trust, we put the money into a single premium life policy. Now, it's not like a traditional single premium life policy, and what I mean by that is this. If we give the company $15,000, they're not going to give us $25,000 a death benefit day one, and we're going to have access to cash value and all those good things. What they're going to do is they're probably going to start us out with about $15,500 of death benefit, and then they're going to pay us an interest rate daily that will make that money grow. So it's not, remember, this isn't about growing an asset. This is about protecting it and having it there when we need it most, which is at the time of death. So then what we're going to do is 45 days after the policy is issued, we're going to assign it to the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. This is all done internally at National Guardian Life. That's going to protect the funds. It's going to start earning that tax-free interest till we need the money. And then like with my client, when the client passed away, those funds now are already at the funeral home. So the funeral provider's happy, they're getting paid, the client's happy, it's a bill they don't have to deal with, and now in my client's situation, it's pretty close to what the funeral is going to cost to what she has in the plan. But let's say, as an example, the funeral was only $13,000 and she had $16,000 of benefit. They're going to pay the funeral home the $13,000 because that's what the bill is, and then that extra $3,000 would get paid to the estate. Why? Because this is money that we took off the radar for Medicaid spend down, and it cannot come back into the insured's estate. It has to, or I'm sorry, it couldn't be owned by the insured, so the excess has to be paid to the estate. So when we're talking with National Guardian Life, they have two different trusts. They have the Funeral Expense Trust, which is what I'm talking to you about right now. I'm going to talk about Ohio. I see we have a lot of people on the call from probably all over the country, so we'll show you a state list here in a moment. But in Ohio, we can put $15,000 into an irrevocable funeral trust. So if I'm dealing with the client, I go out and meet with them, and they're like, hey, we know my husband's got to go into a long-term care facility. We don't have any type of long-term care protection. We're going to have to start spending our assets. What am I going to do? I'm going to have them fund $15,000 each into the funeral trust because I'm going to eliminate $30,000 that they otherwise would have to spend at the nursing home. So that's going to allow them to apply for Medicaid immediately and to start getting benefits. So then what will happen is the trust will pay funeral costs just like I showed you, and then any excess is going to go to the estate of the insured. Now NGL also has another trust. It's called the Estate Planning Trust. You can put up to $100,000 per individual into this trust. The only difference is it's going to have a 5-year look-back period on it. So after it's been in there for 5 years, then that money is not going to be able to be touched by a nursing home or Medicaid. Then what would happen is if you only sold them an estate planning trust, it would be the same process. They would pay the first money out to the funeral home, and then any excess funds are going to come back to a beneficiary. The big difference with this one is it doesn't get paid to the estate. The benefits come back to the beneficiary of the insured's estate. So the question I usually get from most advisors is, well, how do I know when to use which trust? Well, if I'm talking about the Funeral Expense Trust, we're using this in crisis planning. I have a gentleman that's worked for me since 1988. He's been my best friend since kindergarten. He went over to Pennsylvania yesterday because we got a call from a client who is doing Medicaid already, and she's got this annuity, and they told her she needs to get rid of the money. So he drove over there yesterday, picked up a $15,000 case in Pennsylvania. We'll show you here in a few minutes that Pennsylvania goes by county, so we were able to fund the whole trust in this particular county. But what happened is we took that right off of the asset sheet for her. So we're using it, that's crisis planning. Or maybe it's a client where Medicaid's possible within 5 years. So maybe they're paying their way right now at a nursing home, but they know they're going to run out of money. what a better way to step in there and help them than protect what you can. And then a lot of times, like the client I just got out of a meeting with here this morning at our office, she doesn't have any of this going on. She's 56. She's going to retire at age 60. She's got plenty of assets. And all she wants to do is make sure that those funeral expenses are put away, are earning a little bit of interest, and she wants to forget about it. So that's perfect for her. Now, the estate planning trust is a great tool when Medicaid's a non-issue. So I like to use the example of a couple teachers I work with here in the Columbus area. When I first met them 4.5 years ago, they said, hey, look, we're never buying long-term care insurance. We have plenty of income. We have assets, but we do want to make sure in the event that we would go into a nursing home facility that we have a certain amount of money guaranteed to go to our kids. So we wrote them $100,000 each into the estate planning trust. They're already a little over 4.5 years into it. So after the, another 6 to 12 months, that $200,000, it doesn't matter what happens in their life, that money is 100% protected. So we were able to easily transfer a limited amount of wealth to their children. But a lot of times you'll have clients who say, well, in my will, I've directed to leave money to my church or my charity. Those are the greatest, most noble intentions in the world. But if you get sick and go into a nursing home, that nursing home doesn't care what your heart's thinking. Only thing they care about is getting paid. So what a great idea if you're involved in a church or a charity to be able to go to them and say, hey, look, if you are going to be giving money to the church or the charity, let's put it away now so that we know the money is going to end up there and not at a nursing home. So that's the real opportunity when you can go in there and know that, hey, I can do the funeral expense trust or I can do the estate planning trust. One caveat to this, it's $100,000 total. So if you've got $15,000, you've already sold them a funeral expense trust, and you go back 2 years later and they're like, hey, we've got this money we want to protect from the nursing home. We want to put $100,000 in there. Well, no, you can put 85 because you've already done 15 in the funeral trust, and it's a combination of the two, either 100 in the estate planning trust or 85 in that and 15 in the funeral. Just real important to understand that. So let's talk about the product itself that National Guardian Life uses to fund the trust, and it's called the NGL AssetGuard. So it's basically a fixed rate product, and then we're going to use the funeral trust to get that benefit of protection for the client. And there are some individual state limits, so we'll put that up here next and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to talk about Ohio during this whole conversation because that's where I'm from. But if you look at Ohio, I really got it made here. I can do $15,000 into the funeral trust. I can do $100,000 into the estate planning trust. But let's say you live in Florida. So when you live in Florida, Florida has said, hey, you can't do a funeral trust. But what you can do is you can still help your client because you can do the estate planning trust. And let me tell you what I mean by that. If you go into a client and you want to talk to them about putting money away for their funeral, the only difference is they're going to have to wait 5 years. But the best time to get it done is now, so that 5-year clock starts ticking. So you don't have to put the whole $100,000 in. You could just say, hey, we're going to do your funeral planning. We're going to put $15,000. Maybe they want to put 20, 25. Lord knows, don't limit them. If they want to do 100, that's okay too. But you have the opportunity still to do business with National Guardian Life. Mark, you can skip the next slide. So this is all the expenses that are paid for with the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. The day before yesterday, I had a client who lives in a town a couple hours from here. They didn't have a funeral trust with us, but his wife had died. And when I met him, they had already prepaid everything at the funeral home. But she wanted to be buried in her hometown. So the funeral home he prepaid with was really good here in Ohio. They got her up to the service in a town called Wauseon, Ohio, which is right next to Michigan. But her place she wanted to be buried was in Michigan. And so because Ohio's mortuary license does not carry into Michigan, they had to get a funeral home from Michigan to transport the body to Michigan. It was an 8-mile drive. They charged them $1,900 to get her over there. So the nice thing with this trust is it pays for the transfer of the deceased. So if they would have had this and had it overfunded, they would have had the money in there to do that inside of this plan instead of coming off their hip to do it. So for today's conversation, I'm going to talk about the single pay because that's all we do here at NTING Financial Services. We can do a minimum face amount of $500 all the way up to $100,000, and then the client's going to get an interest rate on their money. You choose that interest rate for your client. The only thing I will tell you is I don't care what rate you offer your client, that's your business. But I would tell you that if I were doing it, I would pick one rate and I would give it to everybody. I wouldn't be giving one guy one rate and one guy another. Here at NTING Financial, we've always given everybody 2% when they do an estate planning trust. And you'll see, we'll talk later about why that's important. So the issue ages on it are 0 to 99. So, you know, the world is your oyster when it comes to this product. Obviously, the higher you get in age, the lower the commission. But if you're writing a 99-year-old, you probably want lower commission because you may end up with a chargeback in the near future. Because the first year they will charge you back on this product if your client passes away. So the one thing I will tell you about this is the health question is very simple. There's one health question. They're either going to be proved standard or guaranteed. If your client answers no to all health questions, it's a standard issue. If they answer yes, it's a guaranteed issue. The difference is going to be in your commission. So with the death benefit, it increases daily with simple growth, all single pay or immediate full death benefit. So we have the utmost confidence if we put our client in a plan, they pass away in 6 months from now, that money is going to be there for them and their family at the funeral home. And what I love most about it is it couldn't be easier to do. So if you don't like paperwork, then you're going to love this program. I love to share the story about the first annuity I ever wrote back in 1993. I was in a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio. It was a $25,000 annuity. I couldn't even believe they were going to let me walk out of there with a $25,000 check. And it was 3 pieces of paper for that annuity. And the last page of those 3 pieces was the receipt that I left with the client. Now, I'm sure many of you on here today have sold regular life insurance, you've sold annuities, and now it's 30, 35 pages. You've got to have a suitability form. I mean, it's just crazy what you have to go through. I understand it's for the protection of the client, but with National Guardian Life, you basically have 2 pieces of paper, your disclosure form for the trust, and your state replacement form, and you are done with the transaction. It's about 15 minutes to write an application on this product. So the top of the application, pretty basic. We're going to ask for the client's information. Then you're going to see there, and Mark will leave this up a second, that's the statement of health. So there's the questions that you're going to ask to the client. If the client answers yes, they're going to be that guaranteed issue. If they answer no, they're just going to be a standard issue. Then at the bottom of the page, you're going to see there where you're going to have the client sign off on the application. You're going to sign off, write your writing agent number on there. And then the next page you're going to look at is going to be the receipt if it's a cash with app. So if you're doing a cash with app, you're going to write the receipt, leave that behind to them, and then you'll have your funeral expense planning trust. There's 2 different disclosures. This is it. One's for the funeral expense trust. One is for the estate planning trust. You're just going to walk them down through there. You don't have to put a funeral home of choice in there because it can be used at any funeral home. You're going to have them sign off on that. You're going to have your state replacement form. And then this is on the bottom of the disclosure. And this is very important. Remember I said after it's issued, they have 45 days, National Guardian Life, before they stick it into that irrevocable funeral trust. I do a lot of work with the estate planning attorney, and he'll come over and say, hey, I got these clients. We're trying to get them approved for Medicaid. We want to get this money into National Guardian Life. Can you do this for me? But we need it to be done like a week ago. Well, we can go in here, and if we sign off on this bottom section, we're telling National Guardian Life, I'm waiving my right to cancel provision. Don't wait the 45 days. Put that money in here today for me so we can get it protected immediately if we're in a crisis situation. So when we're presenting this to clients, I would tell anybody that's new to this product that the best place to start is on client reviews. How many times have you went out on a client review? Maybe they've come into your office, maybe you've driven an hour to their house, you do a review, you're doing a good job for them, but there's no money to be made. Maybe you've already sold them an annuity and it's just really you're doing your job. You're going out to do their review. How nice would it be if you could walk into that client's home or them into your office, sit them down and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, would you agree that all the advice I've given you in the past has worked out the way that we said it would? Well, they're going to tell you, yeah. Well, one of the things that we didn't touch base on that's very important that I'm going to help you get taken care of today is pre-planning for your funeral. Have you already prepaid your funeral? If they tell you no, then you've got a great topic of discussion to be able to show them and get it done for them. And if they tell you yes, then you need to say, you know, do you have any favorite churches or charities that you know you're going to be leaving money to so you can pivot into that estate planning trust need? So if you do that, you'll be really surprised on how much business that you can pick up in the house. So when you're presenting it, obviously you got to know the product. National Guardian Life's got a great training center on there for you on their agent website. You're going to stress those benefits of planning ahead. I had an agent come up to me at the last academy we were in Iowa here a couple weeks ago, and he said, man, John, I love that story you tell about your dad. I wish I had a story like that. And I told him, I said, you do. All you have to do is, hey, I want to share with you a story about a friend of mine and what happened when he went in and had to take care of his dad's funeral. Use my story. Just make sure you tell him it's not your own, it's a friend of yours. Stress to them the importance that it can be used with any funeral home. And the reason I say that is you can Google funeral homes in your area and you will find out some of them change ownership, some of them go out of business, some of them you will find out that they have actually pilfered all of the money from their prepaid funeral services. You Google that in your area, you'll find a funeral home that's done it. Now, here's really important stuff. How many of you have ever talked to your clients about the fact that when they die, they don't get the face value of their life insurance and the cash value? They get whatever is greater. So if I'm in doing a discussion with a client, in the old days before I used NGL, they would bring out those old paid up life policies and I would just push them aside. But now what we do is we call the company with the client right there, and we got two questions for the company. Tell me what my cash value is and tell me what my face amount is. If I'm sitting with a client, which we've done many of them, who says, well, hey, our cash value is $12,000 and our death benefit is $14,000, I'm going to point out to them that that $12,000 that they're intending to use for their death benefit, which is really $14,000 because they would get the face amount, that if they get sick and go in a nursing home, they're going to make them spend that cash value and they're going to end up with nothing. So doesn't it make more sense to 1035 exchange this money over to the National Guardian Life Funeral Trust, get it 100% protected, it'll grow with interest, and know that that money's going to be there when your family needs it the most? A lot of opportunity with 1035 exchanges in this business. And then you got to close the sale because that's how we get paid. But if you take the mindset of you are truly helping them and that you are assuming that they're going to do it, you just need to show them how to do it, you're going to give them that peace of mind of planning ahead and knowing that those funds are protected. So where do you find the money? When we meet with a client, we'll tell them, we'll say, hey, you know what? You're not, if theoretically you're really not even buying anything. All we're doing is we're taking money from one of these instruments on the left-hand side here that's a countable asset if you go into a nursing home or need care, and we're just moving it to the right-hand side of the column where it's protected from Medicaid spend down. I can't tell you how many times I've asked a client if they prepaid their funeral, and they will say, well, no, but my daughter knows I have a $15,000 CD in the bank that's to be used for my funeral. Well, that's great, but if you get sick and go in a nursing home, the nursing home doesn't care that that's what you were going to use it for. They care that it's an asset and they want it spent on your care. Why not move it over and get it protected, get a better interest rate than the bank's paying you, and know the money will be there when you need it most? Maybe you're on this call and you've produced a lot of annuity premium like my agency has. What a great time to go out and do a penalty-free withdrawal and show them how you can move some of that money from the countable side to the non-countable side. Because with most of you, you probably didn't take trails on your annuities. You took the upfront commission. So that's really just dead money laying there anyway. Why not help the client and get paid to do it? So on the next page, these are brochures. We're going to be changing this slide before the next Academy because they've actually changed what these look like. But we use the two that flank that middle one. So we use the NGL Funeral Expense Trust and the Estate Planning Trust brochure. They're a trifold. They cut right to the chase. They're very written in layman's terms so the client can understand it. And they're very good leave behind piece for the client. So National Guardian Life, they've got a great track record. They've been around for over 100 years. They're a very solid financial company. The one thing I will say about them, I've done business with them for over 14 years. I have never in 14 years had one issue with this company, from getting money from another company to paying a claim when it was due to helping me with an issue I might have trying to get a deal done. They are 100% invested in this product. It's their niche, it's what they do, and they do it well. So when you get licensed with them, you'll get access to their National Guardian Life agent website. I will tell you, in this portal, you can download a PowerPoint presentation if you're using an iPad in appointments. It's very consumer friendly. It's what it's built for. You can run reports on your commission. You can order supplies. You can print the supplies off of there. As far as applications, they got great marketing ideas. Everything you need to be successful with this product, they have built into this portal. So it's a very, very good tool. Once you get licensed, you definitely want to get registered on the portal and start using what they've made available to you. So why sell the product? Well, we showed you the stats. Your clients need it. They're thinking about it. We all know one thing for sure. We're going to pass someday. It's a great income opportunity. When I started doing this, when my mentor came to me and showed me this, and I didn't know anything about it 14 years ago, the only thing I heard out of his mouth initially was, this will be a great another income stool or another income leg on your income to your business. And that's what I took it for, because I wanted something that I could write enough business to pay all my business expenses in a year. The trusts are free. There's no fees. I ask every client when we get done with this in a house, we always ask them, hey, has anyone ever talked to you about this before? We've never had a client tell us yes. So if you're talking to your client, you don't have any competition. The funds are portable, so again, you can use them at any funeral home. We're doing business with a great company. You're going to give your client that peace of mind. And if you don't like paperwork, you're going to love doing business with National Guardian Life. But really, once you've helped your client and you've done all of that work, you'd like to get compensated for the work that you've done. So what I tell our agents that we work to and mentor is, you know what, if you went out and did a couple reviews a month, and you could, even if you just did $10,000 each on each one of the spouses, you're going to add $40,000 to your annual bottom line. And I know we're in the financial service industry, everybody on here, so we kind of like our vacation time. I base this on not even working a couple months. So think about if you had something that's easy to implement, your client needs it, that you could set up that would pay your office lease, your business expenses, and all you had to do was go out and do whatever else you're doing to create your income for everything else. It's just a great opportunity. But there are challenges with it. And some of the biggest challenges that we find, oh, they stuck this in here. I guess we can talk about commission, Mark, if we must. But up here at the top left-hand corner, this is based on a 2% growth rate, and I have that up there because this is what we use. But if you had couples that were in that 61 to 65 age range, and they both got issued standard, imagine if you went out and picked up $15,000 on each spouse, so that's a $30,000 deal. You're making $4,000 in commission. That's good. That's pretty good pay for doing an annual review for something your clients already like you, they trust you, and now you're just going a little step further to help them get something else implemented that they need. So that's again, once you're contracted, you'll get to see all your commission schedules. So they do great trips every year. 2018, they're going to Punta Cana. It doesn't take a lot to qualify for their sales conference. It's first class all the way. But the thing I love about sales conferences is, and it's how I got to where I am today, when I went to the sales conferences, I enjoyed everything they had to offer. I like to have a cocktail and I like the beach, but you know what I like more? I like finding those guys that are on the leaderboard, and I want to introduce myself, and I want to find out what they're doing to be so successful that they're at the top, and then I just want to copy it. So again, if you're on these trips, whether you're new to IAMS and you're going to make their sales conference, always try to get with the guys who are doing the top job and pick their brain about what they're doing. So some of the biggest challenges is you got to get comfortable with the concept. You got to believe in it. Remember, your clients believe that pre-planning is a good idea. It's what you've been doing for them, is pre-planning for other events in their life. So just learn how to present it, stress those benefits of pre-planning, use my story about my dad, but more importantly, keep it on the top of your mind. Every client, every day. It's a real simple question. Have you prepaid your funeral? It's yes or no. And if they tell you no, man, do you got a story to tell. So what we did at my company is, I'll tell you a quick story about, gosh, Mark, and I may be wrong on the years, but 5 or 6 years ago, it could be 7. I was sitting in my office one day. We've written a lot of annuity premium over the years. I had a client's daughter call me. And she said, hey, John, I want to let you know Mom passed away. And I had about $500,000 in annuities with her, which I knew was going to the daughter. And I said, well, that's great. I said, I need you to get through everything with the funeral, and then we'll set up an appointment, and you can come in and we'll talk about the annuities. And she said, oh, no. Don't worry about that. I've already talked to the people at the bank, and they told me they could help me with everything. Well, that hurt because that was $500,000 that went out the door, and we're not used to that. So what I did is I made the determination that that wasn't going to happen to me again. So I built this guide for beneficiaries from scratch. And what we did is we went out and saw all of our clients, and we put this guide into their house. And what I'm going to do is share with you some of the successes that we had when we did this. Now, your clients don't tell you everything, even if you think that they do. So once we went out and started implementing the guides into our reviews, because it was a great opening, hey, we're coming out to do a review with you. We have a beneficiary guide we'd like to share and give to you. And so, Mark, if you go to the next screen, what happened for us was we had a new data collection sheet. So we went out, we presented the beneficiary guide to the client. We said, hey, when you pass away, this is everything your beneficiaries are going to do. This is who they're going to need to contact, letters they're going to need to write if you have pensions, yada, yada, yada. So what we did is we updated all their data. Well, what we found in this process is where I'm telling you, your clients don't tell you everything. In a 6-month period of implementing this beneficiary guide, we picked up an additional $1.5 million of annuity premium, $200,000 of single premium life, and about $150,000 premium of NGL. So it's not because we're the smartest guys over here in Columbus, but it's because we had a process to take the client through to uncover all the assets and then to be able to come back and present to them to be able to help them with those assets we didn't know about. So if you look at the next slide here, you're going to see what this front page of the guide for beneficiaries looks like. So I know Mark talked at the very beginning before I got on the call about Tasha, who handles the marketing. I don't want to call it marketing. What do you call it, Mark?
She creates the brochures, things like that.
So,
the branding.
Yeah, so creative. Yeah, creative branding. So what happened is when I was out at this last event, I gave her my guide and I said, hey, I want to redo it. So we're in the process now. She's, matter of fact, just sent me back some stuff I have to approve, but we're redoing this guide. It works the way it is, but we're making some tweaks to it. So if you license with National Guardian Life through IAMS, what will happen is we will make this available to you, the new format, and I think May 1st is our target date for that release, but we'll make it available so that you can take it to a local printer, give them your company information, and you're going to be ready to go see clients. So if you look at the next page, the reason we did, oh, I'm sorry, back up, Mark. I got ahead of myself. So on here, look what it says. A guide for my beneficiaries. For help settling my estate, please call my advisor at Inting Financial Services. And then what we tell them is to make their kids aware that they have this and that this is who they're to call because we're their financial people. So what ends up happening for us is lately it hasn't been, but there was a period of about 6 months where we were getting 1 or 2 calls a month on this, and we were going out and working with the assets again. So it's a great tool. If you don't have something like this, once you're licensed, we'll make that available to you. Now we can move on. This is also something we're updating, but it's the personal and financial organizer. So all we're doing is we're taking the guide out and we're saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what we're going to do is we're going to update everything about you today. We're going to get your children's information. We're going to know about your grandchildren. We're going to update this so if I'd never met you before, I could walk in, pick up this guide, pick up this document in the back of it, and go settle your estate without ever have met you. So that's how detailed it is. So this is the first page. The second page, again, we're just gathering this information. We're asking about other real estate. We're getting to the third page. Do you own any other titled property? Do you have checking accounts? How much are you keeping in them? Then we get down there to question 8. Have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell us no, we don't just launch into a sales pitch, because if we know there's opportunity for business, we're telling them we're taking this document back to the office, we're going to put it so it's all typed in there, and we're going to bring it back out to you. Why? Because I want to get back in front of you. If they tell us, yes, we've prepaid the funeral, then we're going to ask, well, do you have any church's charity or a specific amount of money you want protected from a nursing home so that we can flip into the estate planning trust? Then we're going to go through, do you have any life insurance policies? Now we care about those old paid up policies, don't we? Because we want to know, is there an opportunity to 1035 exchange cash value to National Guardian Life? So what we've done is now they're really opening up to us. I mean, they're telling us everything. If there's not an opportunity to do business with the client, we're still going to take this form back and type it out for them, but we're just going to tell them, hey, we're going to mail this to you, put it in the back of your beneficiary guide when you get it. So we're only going back out if we believe there's an opportunity for business. So page 5, again, information, place for notes on the back. We ask them, do they have a living trust? Who's your team for that? Who's the attorney? Who's the, who's your successor trustee? So just basically gathering all the information that they might not have shared with us in the initial consultation. I've been very blessed in this business to be able to be in what I call the right place at the right time a long time. But I love sharing this with advisors because it truly is a way for you to increase the revenue of your company and not really doing a whole lot of extra work and taking care of your clients in a manner that we should all be taking care of our clients. So I thank everybody for your time. If you have any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer them for you.
Yeah, go ahead, folks. There's that question box. You want to type in a question there, we'll go ahead and present that to John. It's funny, John, I think I mentioned this the last time we had this, but, we get a lot of calls in where there might be an old UL policy that's underfunded, it's in trouble, but unfortunately, the client is no longer insurable, and so they are left with a decision, do I dump more money in this policy or what should I do? And so I personally had a case where we rolled it into the trust product. It just made sense. We're protecting the assets. They didn't have another $200-300 a month to fund their life insurance to keep it in force. So that's something to keep in mind. You might think your clients are uninsurable, and they're probably getting these statements their policies are in trouble. Don't forget about the NGL. It's a great place to put those dollars to protect them.
That's a great point.
John, our question box is empty, so obviously you did a phenomenal job as always. So folks, again, this was recorded, so I will be emailing this over to you here by the end of the day. If you have any questions before you receive that, please give us a call here at the office. Ask for Mark. My name is Mark Raymakers. Otherwise, you can expect a call back from me. If not, by the end of the day, I'll be calling you here on Monday of next week. So, John, again, thanks for taking time away from your busy day to help us today.
Oh, absolutely. It was a pleasure. If any of you end up going out to the next IAMS Academy, I'll be out there speaking. You can always pull me aside. I'd be happy to give you some of my time. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.